Have you ever tried a technique and wondered if you're the only one who can't do it? Well, that's me today. Hi, I'm Jess from jesscrafts.com, and I'm going to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time, so let's get started. I'm going to try embossing and doing an Emboss Resist, which shouldn't be hard, but I'm going to try to double emboss, and then I do still have some issues with the Resist, and we're going to get into that. But first, I have a one-sheet wonder design for you today. This is for a 5x7 card. It makes 2 5x7 cards from one piece of 6x6 paper. The template is on my blog, so you can download it as a PDF, and it will tell you exactly how to cut the paper, exactly how to cut the mats. If you're not into 5x7 cards, I have a very similar one-sheet wonder for A2 size cards. I believe it is one-sheet wonder number 27, and I'll try to put it in the blog post as well. Hopefully, though, you appreciate some of the learning that we're going to do as I attempt this technique, and I figure it out and share with you like the little tips you're going to need to be successful. I'm working with the Gerda Steiner Designs Little Snowman stamp, and that is super exciting because today's video is actually part of Gerda Steiner Designs Advent Calendar. I designed for Gerda a couple of years ago, and she asked me to join her as part of this Advent Calendar, and she's doing some freebie digital stamps and has so many amazing designers providing you inspiration, and there are giveaways, including today. 3 people can win this little snowman. This is open internationally, but it is one day only, 24 hours. So this comes out on December 8th, and you need to leave a comment in this YouTube video by midnight, December 8th, Pacific Standard Time. When I pick the winners, I will reply to your comment, and I'll post a pinned comment with the winners. So you can hopefully come back the very next morning and it will already be there. So, double embossed. I want to do heat embossing, but I want to make it extra thick. I want to emboss it 2 times. And I'm like, well, easy because I have a MISTI. So I stamped it and I used my powder bag and, oh, by the way, any giveaway like details or whatever in the video description. But I stamped it again. It's in a MISTI. Like, that's easy peasy. But it didn't turn out perfect. It had that like shadow look where the lines didn't perfectly line up. And that's because the paper is going to warp a little bit when you heat emboss it, even if you do all the right techniques and you like make sure your heat gun is hot before you bring it to the paper and make sure you heat it from both sides, all those little tips, it's still going to warp a little bit. So what you really need to do is make sure your MISTI magnets or whatever you are using to hold down your paper is really, really secure. I was able to double stamp it and double emboss it easily as long as I made sure there were magnets on like every corner of the paper and it was really, really secure. So not much of a tip there, but super important. And if you ever had that frustration, because yeah, I've seen plenty of videos where like, yeah, you just stamp it twice and you use your MISTI and it's totally fine. And you know, maybe it's because it's obvious that you really need to hold it down, and that's fair. But I just, was like, oh yeah, MISTI stamps in the same exact place, and I didn't account for the warping. So there you go. But then I want to do Emboss Resist, and I wanted to do this because this little snowman is super cute. You can totally color him. I did. I have one that is colored, but I always color my stamped images, and I sometimes want to challenge myself to just do something different. So I thought, oh, it might be fun to do an Emboss Resist as a way of sort of coloring in the snowman. And I just reached for my Distress Oxide inks because they're like really easy to access in my drawers. They all lay flat so you can see the colors on top. So they're just kind of like easy to grab. But I found that Distress Oxide inks are actually not good for this technique. I guess it's in part because they have the pigment aspect, but I just kind of I was like, oh, they're water-based. They react with water. It'll be totally fine. I could just rub off the embossing. But after I put it all down and I tried to rub it off, you'll see here, it comes off for the most part, but it left a tinge to the white embossing. And so now instead of my snowman looking white, he looks yellow. That is not what I wanted. And I try to fix it because I'm like, again, Distress Oxide inks react with water. Maybe if I just put the very tiniest hint of water, just a barely damp rag, and I wipe over it again, then I will get rid of this yellowish tinge that is on my snowman. No luck. It still stayed that way, and then it, in fact, and this is unsurprising, I'm sure to many of you, ripped my paper because the water seeped into the paper. Pattern paper is not the kind of thing that you want to be using when you're doing an emboss resist technique, when you're doing any sort of water-based techniques. And therefore, yeah, my paper started pilling, and I was just so disappointed because I had already messed up one time by the snowman's not stamping properly. Now I messed up again because I made the snowman pill, and the first one I was able to cover up because, like I said, I did color one of the snowman just for fun because I like coloring. And here I'm just adding a sentiment with a banner die. But you can see I did color one, and I was able to cover up one of them, one of my mistakes, with that colored snowman. But now I have this pilling here, and I'm going to have to color up another snowman and cover it probably to fix that card. But I didn't want to give up because I don't want to, I'm trying to share a video with you guys. I'm trying to help you. And so me going like, and I failed with the technique, the end, doesn't seem like a very helpful video. So I was like, what did I do wrong? Okay, make sure you can see here, I'm putting the magnets on all of the corners. I'm holding my paper down securely. I'm not going to mess that one up again. But the key is simple and it probably obvious to some of you. You probably were probably like, I know, Jess. Instead of using the Distress Oxide inks, I went to regular Distress inks. And that wiped right off the plastic embossing. And I was able to get a new card and show off and kind of get that look that I had originally intended. Do not make your cloth wet. You don't want a damp cloth. That mistake still stands for sure. It's not just, and again, if you had used the Distress Oxide inks, it does mostly wipe off. And maybe there are some colors that wipe off better than others. But the brown left my embossing yellow. This blue, as you can see, first off, it's not coloring the embossing nearly as much. It is resisting it much more. And when I do take a clean rag to it, that just took up all the ink off my embossing and looked beautiful. So the key is just regular Distress inks, and make sure if you want to do a double emboss or you want to get it nice and thick, that you really hold down the paper in your stamping platform. If you found this video inspiring, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.